Welcome in. It is day 146, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be jumping into I don't want to say necessarily a party game, but definitely a little bit more in that category. This is for teams, it's 2-on-2. The game is called Decrypto. So the concept of Decrypto is that in teams of two, or more if you want to do that, but it's intended for 2 versus 2, you're going to be given each team a group of keywords. The keywords are how you and your partner are going to communicate. And then one of your partners is going to be given a code. You're trying to transmit this code to your partner. You're going to be exchanging which team is doing the coding. So a team is given the code. The player who's given that code has to come up with words that are going to be their clues for their partner. You're going to announce the 3 words, and then both teams will write the words down. In round 1 for each team, the opposite team is not going to guess. This is going to be only the partner. They're going to attempt to guess. You're going to let them know if they did or did not succeed. And then the other team will go. And once you've both gone, you will then continue trying to have now both teams guess the code. Now, the concept is if a team does not get it correct, if I'm giving the clue, my partner is incorrect, we're going to get a miscommunication token. So whenever one of us is giving the code, we're up for those. If at any point a team gets 2 of them, the team loses, the other team wins. However, there's also the interception token. So once the first round is finished, both teams have given their clues. You are now starting to gather intel. You've seen, okay, this team gave these kind of clues, they were correct, and this was the number that was given, so we know that the clue bear was connected to the number 4, and the clue green was connected to the number 2. So you're starting to get a little bit of intel. So now in the next one, the teams cannot repeat the same clues, and they're going to now switch who's giving the clues out, and you're going to be trying to figure out, all right, what will we give for clues now? And both teams will do it again, and you'll both basically write down the clues, make a guess on your board, and then both announce your numbers. If the opposing team is able to figure out the code, they will get that interception token. And at the same time, if your partner does not get your code, they're going to get the miscommunication token. You'll look to see, is either of the standards met? Somebody has 2 interception tokens or somebody has 2 miscommunication tokens, and if so, the game ends. Otherwise, you move on. So the concept is really interesting because it's all about how many clues can you give that you're not going to be giving an obvious answer. If somebody has Mexico, for instance, as their clue, and you give obvious things, I said sombrero, and then I said Speedy Gonzalez, or I said taco. If you're making it very, very obvious, it's going to be pretty simple for them to put together in their head and at least to be in a general area. That's not going to be very good for you. At the same time, though, you have to be careful. Now, you have to decide before the game starts, how are the clues working? Can you give just one word? Are you giving a sentence? I tend to play with the one word idea, so like Speedy Gonzalez wouldn't work. But you give a clue, and then you're trying to find a way to like really throw somebody. So you might come out after the first one and be like, all right, well, yes, sombrero is obvious. So instead, I'll say something like Russia. And then my partner might go like, oh, okay, another country. So that's like Mexico. Here we go. And then the next thing up, I go sombrero. Now, if I'm the opposing person, I might easily connect those and go like, oh, okay, sombrero from Mexico. Russia is a country like Mexico. It doesn't connect to some people, but others might pick that clue up quick. But if you're able to find a way to connect some words that may not be obvious to somebody else, but they're pretty obvious to the person who knows what they're meaning, that's the better way to play. The reason that knowing the words is going to be an issue is for twofold. One is now future clues, your opponents are easily going to know what you're saying. The other is if at any point both teams get something. So this could be either both teams get an interception, 2 interception tokens, or a team gets both interception and both miscommunication tokens. If that were to happen, then it would be considered a tie, and then you'd have to break the tie. And the first tiebreaker is both teams get to write down a word next to a number for each of the 4 clues of their opponents. And for every clue you get right, it's a point. So if you can really nail the exact word, that's not going to be good, because that means that tiebreakers are now going to really be leaning in your favor. I might have a general idea of what you're in the area, but I don't really know the word, whereas you might just completely, like, it's obviously Mexico. Everything you said was from Mexico. So you got to be careful about that. But why don't we jump into our 7 categories and see where this lands for us? When it comes to art, I think that this box is intriguing. I picked this game up when I went with my sister to PAX East a few years ago, and the box itself was what initially grabbed me, as well as the art of the game itself. They had it set up. My sister is not normally one that will play games at the convention because she gets a little bit shy, but she was willing to sit down and try it. We had to play with the 2 people who were selling the game, so it was a little bit tough, but we really enjoyed it. So our eyes were grabbed because of the physical look. It was definitely worth it. I think that the art is good for this game. It's a thumbs up. The components, they're not bad at all in this game. They're actually quite good. The components in Decrypto primarily are the cards, which in the center you have this really nice setup with this cardboard that holds up a base. The base has this really nice red film through it, and that's what allows it so that when you're decrypting, it actually shows you what's on these cards. So it's actually pretty nice. I mean, it's just the old school, what they used for 3D films back in the day before they made these really nice advanced glasses. It's just that. But they put it together nicely. You can put your cards in there, see your answers. They did a really good job on making both something that's going to last, but also something that really brings to life the theme. So it's a big thumbs up on those components. The price. So this game is available. I don't think I've seen it in a Target. I think I may have seen it in a Barnes and Noble before. And it's in 2, maybe 3 out of every 5 stores. And it's about $40. It's not too expensive. It's acceptable for its price. And I think it's one of those games that you're going to enjoy paying the money for the style of game that you're getting. So, thumbs up there. Your difficulty. The difficulty is quite simple. This is all about your partner and your opposing team. If you're really bad at, say, a game like Codenames, this may not be the game for you, because it's all about communication. It's about understanding who you're working with and understanding who you're facing and making sure not to be too obvious for them. If you're facing somebody who's really good at codes and you have a partner who's really bad at codes, you're going to either have to be the best person ever at knowing exactly what kind of words to give that won't help them and will help your partner, or you're going to have to switch up your teams, because sometimes it's just about finding 2 people who really are in good sync, or realizing a certain person is just not really good at the style game. And that's okay. But I think it's a thumbs up there. The difficulty is acceptable. Replayability. So I think this game is replayable in the same day. I'm not saying you're going to want to do that every time, but I think it is a game that you could pull out at a little family get together or friends get together and play it 2 or 3 times. That being said, I don't feel this game is necessarily intended for that, and the game is not a weekly or a monthly play. It's not the game isn't replayable, it's the game is more of a, does it fit the moment? So I think it's a great game in the collection that you could pull out at some random moment and play, but it's not one I'm planning events around. So I have to give the replayability a thumbs down. Your keys to victory. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Your keys to victory are, you don't want to make a mistake, because if you make a mistake on your with your partner, you're out. Or, well, I should say, and or you need to be able to decipher your opponents and how they're speaking to each other. So with that combo in there, you have to do these things, but everybody does. And that's the whole point of the game. So I don't think the keys to victory are unfair, because that's what you're getting yourself into. You're not playing a big complex game. You're playing a simple party-esque type game. And when you're doing that, you know that the rules are going to be pretty tight, but that's what you're trying to get into there to have fun with. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Is the game unique? So I've compared it to, say, Codenames. Yes, this is a 2-on-2 game. Yes, this is a giving clues and trying to make sure your partner can pick them up game. But I do think that the way they've designed this game is kind of unique in the respect of the theme, the respect of you know a word, your partner knows a word, you have to give a clue that's not that word, your opponents and your partner are all writing these words down, you're going stage to stage to stage. That's really different. Most of the time, it's that the only person who knows anything is you, and you're communicating your info to your partner, and your opponents don't even matter. Yes, in code names, technically, they can listen and start to realize, oh, I think they meant this, and they can get a little bit more keened in on what they're trying to get because they might have deciphered what their opponents are after, and therefore they have less in their way when they're doing their turn. That's always possible. But that's not the game, and that's not the way the game's really introduced. In this game, your opponents are specifically listening to what you're giving, and you're listening to what your opponents are giving, and that's part of the game. And I think that's a little bit of a unique trait in itself. Never mind the way the clues are given. Never mind the code being connected to a word, being connected to a clue that changes every time you're in a new round. I think it's unique. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Overall, what do I think of this game? Is it a must buy? No, but it's a buy that's acceptable. Is it a must play? No, but it's a play that's acceptable. Is it a must play or buy for a person who is looking for that clue style game? Yes. If you like code names, if you like games where it's all about giving clues and connecting with your partner in that way, now you go back in the day where people would literally, I can't remember all the names of these games because I don't even play them, but when somebody would have to get up and here's your word and act it out, stuff like that's kind of what this was derived from. And you now are looking at these newer games, taking old school ideas and throwing pieces into it from new mechanics. And I think that for people into that kind of stuff, that this is definitely a style game that they should play. And I think it's up to you to just make the decision as to when it's time for you to take another shot on a game like this. I like to have a little variability, but that's me. People who are into these games may say, you know what? I don't need variability. I have a game. It works great. When we get together, this is what we play. Charades, by the way. That was the name of the game I was trying to think of. You might not even need any of these because you might still be I like charades. We just write things on a piece of paper. It's different every time. Blah 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 blah. That's fine. That's what you're gonna do. That's cool. But it's nice to know that for people who like charades but want variability, a game like this does exist. Well, that's just my opinion. It's up to you to make that decision for yourself and see if this game is something that might fit into your charades or codenames area and be a great game for you and friends. Well, it has been day 146, and we've been speaking about the game Decrypto, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.